Ladies and gentlemen, Bulavinaka to you all. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here today to collaborate with you on this first ever event and promotion of our local foods coordinated and organized by Ministry of Agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, the volatile and soaring food prices have been making headlines globally, and in the recent past years has been having a major impact on the lives of the poor and vulnerable population. The situation has further escalated since the Russian and Ukraine war, coupled with COVID-19 crisis, pushing up trade costs. The recent World Bank report has estimated that the war in Eastern Europe would hit many countries with increase in food bills of more than 1% of the annual national income, while others would fail to contain the impact and be plunged into a full-blown national debt crisis. Many countries around the globe have experienced increase in food prices to the tune of around 11.4%. Nearly every food item is now more expensive than before. The report has also warned that large producers of grains on the need to adjust to rising temperatures and uncertain weather patterns driven by climate crisis to maintain high levels of production. And this is pushing countries to make internal adjustments to their current economic policies. For example, India is now looking at how it could reduce export of rice by probably imposing export tax. More than 100 million people worldwide are at risk due to food insecurity, with around half this figure already living in hunger. Economic inflation, energy costs, climate change, global pandemics, and effects of world wars have deepened global food insecurity, causing increase in food prices, delayed import and export transportation, and instability, anxiety around the world. This will drive millions more into extreme poverty, magnifying hunger and malnutrition. The situation has been partially worsened by the growing number of food trade restrictions, and in some cases, phytosanitary restrictions deliberately put in place by countries to prevent importation of goods, thus causing global supply fluctuations and increases in price. Fiji, being a small island economy, imports a large proportion of its food requirements, including 100% of wheat, 75% of rice, 100% of potato, cooking oil, including petroleum products required for its domestic consumption and energy source. So we are therefore not spared from international shocks that drive inflation, and generally so, inflation is externally driven. We are importing inflation because we are dependent heavily on imported goods and produce. So if you want to protect our country from external factors driving inflation, we need to look within and see how we can insulate ourselves by producing locally as far as possible, wherever our strategic advantage lies. We are not talking about, given my economic background, we're not talking about import substitution, and it's not a viable strategy, but we are saying that there are certain areas where we've got comparative advantage, we need to exploit these areas. And also, take advantage of some of our niche issues and brand image to raise our product and get it to a different market where premium price exists and where competition is minimal. Fiji is blessed with rich natural resources, fertile soil, pristine environment, and tropical weather conditions to produce healthy and nutritious food for our people, as well as create a brand image using these attributes and export our produce and protect this brand image. And this is something that I've always raised it with farmers, saying that we need to protect our brand image when we are exporting our produce to external to markets. And once we play around with the requirements of biosecurity, etc., to export, we will compromise on this brand image. And once the brand image is lost, then we will lose our competitive edge in the market, because we will be sending products similar to what other countries are sending in the external market. So we need to guard against those mischief makers who are exporting and trying to go for windfall gains by compromising on the processes. We have comparative advantage for a number of locally grown fruits, vegetables, and staple commodities. Locally grown food creates important economic opportunities, provides health benefits, and helps to reduce environmental impact. It also helps bring the community together, gives people the opportunity to make a difference. Additionally, many people feel local food tastes better and lasts longer. Psychological as well. There are people in New Zealand, Australia, who would want to consume local bindi, local baigan, psychologically too, but more so, we have a produce which is grown out of an environment which is environmentally sound. And we are trying our best to move towards organic, vis-a-vis not to make the mistake that Sri Lanka has made. We have declared Ratuma as totally organic. We want to declare Koro Island as organic. We are in the process. And there are certain areas within the mainland which are organic. But we want to go towards organic progressively, area-wise and crop-wise. And at the same time, provide alternatives to farmers so that transition is smooth and agriculture production is not affected. Sri Lanka made a huge mistake by completely banning the importation of commercial fertilizer and chemicals. And the economy, being totally dependent on agriculture, collapsed. So we're not doing that. We are saying we will develop alternatives, we will provide alternatives, ensure it's accessible and affordable to farmers, and gradually move them or transit them towards organic farming. And we're doing quite a lot of work on that. Ladies and gentlemen, looking within our own agriculture sector for solutions is one of the possibilities that can be explored to cushion external shocks, those shocks which are beyond our control. The Ministry of Agriculture has put in a number of initiatives and programs to support our farmers to increase production and productivity and assist in leveraging local food supply chain in order to cushion and current the further increase in food prices. So, about 2 months ago, at a program in Bunindawa, I had said that going forward, we will be emphasizing a lot on organic agriculture, on increasing productivity and efficiency, where we are lagging quite behind. A study that I myself did when I was in academia showed that in the Pacific Island countries, using about 20 years time series data, the productivity has been declining. Something that we need to arrest and reverse the trend to better utilize our resources. We have therefore gathered here today to witness yet another initiative by the Ministry to encourage local food production and maintain food and nutritional security. The past generations has always relied on our local traditional foods. However, due to the shift in paradigm, this trend is now changing rapidly, therefore increasing our dependence on important food, which is putting us at the mercy of the international forces. Wheat and rice has become the current staple diet in the country, leaving behind our traditional root crops. Wheat flour can be complemented with cassava, ndalo, maize, breadfruit, and kumala flour to prepare delicious and nutritious products. Though we have abundance of root crops available in the country, we are only 20% self-sufficient in rice production. There's a huge opportunity to increase rice production, and we're doing that this year in Vanwalevu. The last season in Vanwalevu, the production was 10 times higher than the previous season, which shows that we are on the right track with regard to increasing rice production. We are now working very closely in other areas with other farmers who are commercial sugarcane farmers, commercial root crop farmers, commercial vegetable farmers in Sigatoka, to get them to grow rice, if not commercially, but for subsistence or semi-subsistence level. And we're quite successful in that. And we want to thank FAO for providing us with portable rice mills, as these farmers, when we had asked them to produce rice for their own consumption, queried with us that where would they mill their rice if they are growing for their own consumption. For those who are growing for commercial purposes, Fiji Rice Limited buys the paddy and they do the milling. But for those who are growing for themselves, they'd asked that where would we mill the rice, because there was no rice mill in the neighborhood. I recall a case about 2 months ago. We gave a rice mill to a group of farmers in Rekireki, Ellington, Rekireki. They had to travel to Tavua, 45 kilometers, to mill the rice. Hire a vehicle, go to Tavua, and then sometimes they would find that the miller is not there, and they had to return back. So, thanks to the support from FAO, we have given close to 150 portable rice mill to rice growing areas, clusters around Fiji. And we are saying that any area which grows rice for our own consumption, we are willing to provide a portable rice mill that we can plug it to a single phase power and mill their own rice at no cost to them. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have really incentivized, and we have seen a major response, a sea change in terms of securing staple rice for their household. And at this rate, if you are able to get sugarcane farmers back into rice production for subsistence consumption, there's about 11,000 farmers, we will substantially reduce the amount of rice that we're importing into the country. Now, wheat is also one of the most commonly used commodity in our daily diet for preparation of bread, roti, pastries, snacks, and other similar products. In 2019, Fiji imported around $94.6 million worth of wheat, and in 2020, this went up to $118 million. Records have shown that Fiji imported 24,000 tons of wheat in 1979, and now we are importing 145,000 tons of wheat on an annual basis, an increase of 83%, 5% increase annually. One of the main reasons of the increase is attributed to the change in eating habits of our population. The increase in import bill is a cause of concern for our nation, for our economy. We are losing hard-earned foreign currency through tourism sector, through our exports, towards paying for these imports, particularly in those ones which we have a strategic advantage. We can grow locally, like rice, vegetables, fruits. There's no reason why we should then, reroute this foreign currency that we earn through the service sector and other visible exports, and to pay for these products and produce that we can develop the products here, or produce that we can grow here. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Agriculture, through the research center here, has been conducting research into a number of areas, including flour, where we could see how we could use locally produced flours, blend it with the wheat flour, and use it for products that households use normally. For example, roti or bread, or other pastries. The primary produce that we're talking about are taro, cassava, breadfruit, kumala, rice, and maize, in composition with wheat flour to come up with another product. Let's say a wheat and cassava and wheat flour, or breadfruit or wheat flour, or kumala or wheat flour. The production and processing of these flours can easily be adapted in rural and maritime settings as well, if we are able to give them the skill sets on how easily they can make flours out of this primary produce. So we also would want want commercial companies who are producing flours to develop these products at a commercial level and package it and make it available readily through supermarkets, retail it, so that households can access it, and ensure also that these are affordable price, competitive price, meaning that we don't push them to maintain status quo just because the price is not competitive. Now, from our past research, I've noted that middle to low income households are price sensitive. They're price sensitive. So at the end of the day, they would go for a product or produce which is less in price, rather than being patriotic, or rather than being health conscious as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, the research station had developed that a product from local crop flour mixed with the wheat, with a ratio of about blend of 80 to 90% local, and the remaining wheat. We can come up with flours which households can use for the same purpose, for example, roti or bread or other pastries, without compromising on the quality of that particular product that they are developing, whether it's roti or bread or other pastries. In the same note, we're saying that local fruits and vegetables should also be substituted for imported fruits and vegetables. We have a wide range of fruits and vegetables produced locally, and these are in abundance, particularly during seasons, and prices are quite reasonable. I call upon all Fijians to consider buying these for all their household consumption requirements. So similarly, moving from primary produce to products, there's a range of products that we can develop from this locally primary produce, such as alluded to, flour, chips, smoothies, pastes, pastries, sauces, etc., to name a few. So we need to not only promote primary produce consumption, locally available, locally grown and supplied primary produce, but we also should target the products that are being developed and imported into the country, that there are substitutes or close substitutes available for these products. Brinjals, there are taro chips available, there are banana chip available. I had asked casually a supermarket cashier that when people walk in and those who are buying these dried chips, what chips do they, which packet, what chips did they pick most of the time? And she said, taro chips. So you can see that if you are able to do the right packaging, if you're able to get it to the retail, get the right place on the shelf, all this comes from visual merchandising that a program that I developed at FNU when I was there. If we get the right place in the shelf, progressively we will be able to get our products into the household's kitchen. So I urge all the stakeholders involved. It's not only, we can't only talk to the consumers or the household members, but all parties to come on board and support our call for increasing the consumption, purchase and consumption of locally available produce, primary produce and products. We can do that. And it will benefit all those who are involved in the supply chain. All those who are involved in the supply chain. The landowners, the laborers, the farmers, the other people who are involved in supporting the agricultural sector, and of course, all this will be in national interest, will be saving millions of dollars of foreign currency that we are trying very hard to earn and bring it into the country through the other sectors. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I join all of our hard-working staff at the research station, the food technology section, and all our staff who are very passionate about this, to make a call to all Fijians to be patriotic, all stakeholders to support this cause of supporting the local produce, eat local, and promote our locally grown produce and products. Thank you. Naka.
They offer some soft dry foods.